Tonight, on Closer Look, when you think of Toronto baseball, the names Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and George Springer come to mind. You can now add 35-year-old Ayami Sato to the list. Sato made baseball history Sunday, becoming the first woman to ever play for a professional men's baseball team in Canada. Toronto Today reporter Alex Flood was in attendance when the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team squared off against the Kitchener Panthers at Dominico Field in Christie Pitts. Alex, let's start with Ayami's story. What is it, and how did she end up in Toronto?
Absolutely. Not a straight line to where she's gotten today, of course, and most stories like this wouldn't be. I believe around when she was 9 years old is when she first started to express interest in wanting to play baseball. She is from Japan. Japan long hasn't had a women's league until I think around 2009. So the opportunities for her to play in a professional scene weren't only going to be difficult at the time, they didn't even exist. So expressed interest throughout elementary school, high school. I think there are reports of her saying that she didn't think she was really that good growing up, but she didn't really have the professional scene or the training to get good. So when college came around, my understanding is that she was able to get locked in with a pitching coach and kind of work on her game. And then by the time she was done college, Japan formed its first ever professional women's league. So the timing was just incredible for her to enter the professional scene. I think she was around 18 or 19 at that time. So she got introduced to the professional world right away at that point. And then we know the rest. 6 World Cup championship titles. She was a consistent starting pitcher in that rotation for Team Japan. I believe 3 straight MVPs, which has never been done in that league before, might never be done again. So she had no problem making a name for herself over these last 10 or so years in Japan. And of course, it caught the attention of the Maple Leafs baseball club here. And the rest of that is history as well, as we just saw, quite literally.
So she arrives in Toronto, Alex, and only met her teammates about a week or so prior to her start. How has she been received? What are the other players saying about her?
Absolutely. Well, one of the funny things that caught my eye when I spoke to the team's CEO, he had mentioned she had just landed in Toronto. She got to go to the field and meet everybody a few days after she had landed, and she was still recovering from the travel. Obviously, flying from Japan to Canada is it's taxing. So her first couple pitches weren't that great, and the CEO mentioned that a couple of the players were maybe just raising their eyebrows a little bit, like, oh, like who did we just acquire here? But then any sort of hesitation was silenced, because after the first couple pitches, she was throwing them like she was just throwing them in Japan weeks prior. So she was super well received by the team instantly. And you could tell on Sunday that they had already established chemistry over the week. She was involved in all the team huddles. She was involved in all the high fives. All the guys were giving her great pep talks and hyping her up before she went out to the mound. So she's just another member of the team now. And that's exactly what you would hope for in a case like this. Of course, in terms of the media, she might be getting some additional treatment that the guys won't be getting, of course. But when it comes to just the team itself, she is just another member of the team, and they treated her as such, and that clearly paid off in Sunday's game. So yeah, very well received by the team, and they're off. They're going to be off to a pretty good start here in terms of chemistry, Scott.
You could tell, Alex, that Sunday's game was a big deal based on the crowd size and, of course, all of the pomp and circumstance that you would expect would come with a historic day. Describe the atmosphere at Dominico Field. What was the fan reaction?
Absolutely. And admittedly, still being new to Toronto, I had only been to Dominico Field a couple of times. So this was my true first impression of it. And wow, what an impression it was. I mean, it was packed. The hills were packed. The benches were packed. The energy was palpable the second you walked in. I don't believe that ballpark has had that kind of energy, at least not in this century. It was absolutely incredible. The fans were electric. Every time she made a play, or from the first time she stepped out on the field, it was just a roar. There was almost a thunder to this roar from the crowd. Everybody was so excited, whether they were dedicated fans who go every year to every game, whether it was young girls or women who this was their first game. There was just it was beyond baseball. It was beyond sports. That this was a lifetime event that people are going to remember for a very long time, and they're going to be telling all their friends or their future kids about it. So the crowd was amazing. Anytime Sato did anything, it was just roars and applause. It was more than a playoff game. It just you knew it had more meaning to it than just an everyday baseball game, and the crowd certainly reminded you of the importance of it for sure.
All right, Alex, let's get to her performance. She faced 6 batters. What was her line?
Yeah, she had a strikeout, which got a lot of roars. People were so fired up when she got that strikeout. And I mean, she throws a confusing ball, right? I'm sure we'll talk about her curveball in a second, but yeah, it can really confuse batters. So that was a huge attention line there. And then, of course, she had one or two pop-ups, I think, that were caught by the outfielders. And then the remaining batters were all thrown out at first. So 6 up, 6 down. How do you ask for a better start? I mean, when you talk about pressure and you talk about rising to an occasion, like this was it. She could have given up a run. I'm sure it wouldn't have mattered. The fans would have been elated just to see this history anyway. But the fact that she walked in and basically had 2 perfect innings, just you can't write that. Like it was so cool, and the fans were eating it up. The team was eating it up, and she was retired after the first 2 innings, and she made her mark very well known. So yeah, if we're just looking at her stat line itself, it's perfect. Like no notes, I don't think from any of the coaches or staff involved. So yeah, I'm sure she couldn't have been happier with that.
And she's clearly got game, Alex. The Japanese star has a 4-seam fastball that reaches 80 miles an hour. She also has a curveball and a slider in her arsenal. I guess the big question here is, could she keep moving up the ranks? Would a major league team ever sign her to a minor league deal?
For sure. It's an interesting question. And for anyone that's quick to just say, no, that's impossible, that would never happen. Well, we said the same thing about her coming over to Canada in the Inter-County Baseball League. She is already playing with former major and minor league players. So perhaps she's not in the major league system right now, but I mean, all the attention is on her. If you have any sort of connection to baseball, you know who Ayami Sato is and where she's playing and what she is capable of doing. So I would not be so quick to doubt her. She would have a very hard road ahead in getting to that level. She is already 35. She does have some things to prove in this league, but she is off to the best start imaginable with the Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball Club. And she's got a couple weapons, and you mentioned it right there, and the announcers on the broadcast mentioned it too. Do you know how confusing it is for a batter when they face someone like Sato, who's throwing a 70-mile-per-hour curveball, and then you got to deal with the next pitcher who's throwing 95 fastball at you? That is so confusing for hitters to get comfortable and consistent with. And when you have someone like Ayami, who has the type of curveball she has, where she's getting more rotations on it than most major league players do, you're going to confuse the hell out of so many baseball players, and you're going to make it really, really tough for them to hit off of you. And she proved that with the 6 up, 6 down on Sunday. So can she make it? Yes. Will she? We'll see. But she has already broken history. And honestly, I think depending on how well she does and depending on the type of attention she gets, I don't think it is a complete impossibility. The road ahead would be hard, but it wouldn't be fair to just say no right away.
Mayor Olivia Chow threw out the first pitch. Not sure if it was a slider or a curveball, but she was there along with other dignitaries. What was shared, Alex, about the significance of this milestone for women in sports?
Absolutely. And I think Mayor Olivia Chow being there had some significance as well, not just for the attention it brought, but Chow, I believe, is the first ever mayor of Toronto to be of Asian descent. So, when we're talking about breaking barriers, of course, I'm sure Chow can relate to that. And you could tell that she was a bit emotional being there too, because she, to an extent, knows how that feels and knows how it feels to kind of be put up on that pedestal and to know that so many people who you represent are watching you and are proud of you. So wherever you stand in sports or wherever you stand on politics, that's important for a lot of people. So Chow's presence being there, I'm sure, meant a lot to Ayami as well. And the speeches during the opening ceremony spoke for itself as well. All the attention was on Ayami. I've never seen an opening ceremony so dedicated to just one player, but it made sense. This was not just history for the Maple Leafs club or baseball or even Toronto sports. It felt like a national event, and one that will probably never see the likes of in a very long time again. It would be obviously great to see more women in the sport. That was certainly talked about in the opening ceremonies, how this opens the door for more female talent, and to consider how good women are at this game, and not only in Canada but all over the world, and how teams here in Canada could benefit from that as well. So that was a huge talking point for sure. So regardless of where we go from here today, doors have been opened, opportunities are there, and this baseball team is so excited to get to show off what Ayami is capable of doing.
And another glass ceiling broken, this one shattered at 80 miles an hour. There's Toronto Today's Alex Flood on the pitching debut of Ayami Sato. That's all for a closer look this Monday. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 with another episode. For all of us at Village Media, thanks for watching.